We're going to start learning Likutei Moharan, starting with chapter number 1, or Torah Alef, Ashri Tamimei Derach. So let's just jump right into it. Be'ezrat El Elyon Asher Shamayim Va'aretz Kana. Be'ezrat Hashem, the High God, who created the heavens and earth and acquired them. V'natan lanu et Torato midbar matana. And gave us his Torah in the desert as a gift, a free gift. Natchil ladpis chidushim niflaim v'noraim al mamarei Rabba bar bar Chana. We're going to start printing out chidushim, like new thoughts of Torah, which are based on the words of Rabba bar bar Chana. B'zchut zeh nizkeh la'alot leTzion bironana. And in the merit of this, we're going to go up to Tzion in happiness and in song. El Kiryat Melech David Chana, to the city where David HaMelech resided. This is the introduction before we actually start Torah Alef Ashri Tamimei Derach. What Rabbi Natan, this is Dafka Rabbi Natan, who compiled the words of Rabbi Nachman into the Likutei Moharan. He introduces the first 15 chapters of Likutei Moharan with this introduction, which if you notice, was in a rhyme. But the most important thing that I want you to notice is that he says, Natchil ladpis chidushim niflaim v'noraim al mamarei Rabba bar bar Chana. We're going to start printing this book of chidushim with the words of Rabba bar bar Chana. And like I just said, the first 15 chapters, or the first, we call them Torot, the first 15 Torot of Likutei Moharan is specifically devoted to explaining words of Rabba bar Chana. So let's just stop for a second and go over who is Rabba bar Chana. He was a second generation Amora. Amora obviously is... there were the Tanaim, who were the rabbis who were arguing over the halacha before the Mishnah was written. And then once Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi compiled the Mishnah, the Shishe Sidra Mishnayot, then the Tanaim, the generation, the time of the Tanaim ended, and the Amoraim started. Rabba bar Chana was in the second generation. The first generation was headed by Rabbi Yochanan, who compiled the Yerushalmi Talmud. And when people talk about the Talmud, they're usually talking about the Bavli Talmud, which was finished hundreds of years later. But Rabbi Yochanan, he compiled the Yerushalmi Talmud. Rabba bar Chana was Rabbi Yochanan's student. We know a lot about Rabbi Yochanan. We know a little bit of Rabba bar Chana. But what stands out the most about Rabba bar Chana is his wild and extremely difficult to understand stories that he tells us in Baba Batra. Baba Batra is one of the tractates of the Talmud, which is basically talking about the monetary discussions. And Perik Hey, in the 5th Perik of Baba Batra, which is talking about the acquisition, the selling and the buying of property, and the details of, if you buy a boat, what comes with the boat? Do you get the mast, or you don't get the mast? When you buy a house, do you get the gates, or that doesn't come with it? Do you get the keys, or it doesn't come with the house? Stuff like that. All of a sudden, in Daf Ein Gimel Amud Bet, out of nowhere, in this discussion, the Talmud starts bringing stories that Rabba bar Chana told, and these stories are wild and very imaginative stories about how he was in the sea and he saw these crazy huge fishes, or he was in the desert. Lots of stories about how he was in the desert, and there was this I think Taib. There was this Arab nomad who would lead him around in the desert and show him different things. He would show Rabbi Baruch Hana the place where Har Sinai was. He would show him the place where Korach and his followers were sucked into the desert, into the ground. And some of these stories, you kind of say, what exactly? First of all, what is it doing in the middle of Baba Batra? But even beside where it is in the Talmud, just the stories themselves, what am I supposed to get out of these stories? That he saw this huge fish and the fish was the size of 2 buildings. What kind of lesson am I supposed to get from that? And really, for hundreds of years, rabbis would give different interpretations of what this means. And the first 15 chapters of Likutei Moharan are just that. They are explanations. They're in part explanations of these stories. And the story goes that Rabbi Baruch Hana came to Rabbi Nachman at night in the form of a dream, and helped him understand the true explanations and the true intent behind these stories. And that's what we're going to learn for the next 15 chapters. All right. So I say that these stories are in part, the first 15 chapters are in part an explanation of Rabbi Baruch Hana's stories, because really they're much more than that. What I mean is that what Rabbi Nachman does, and this is the genius of Rabbi Nachman and his Torah, is that he finds the underlying themes behind the Torah that you never noticed before, but once he shows them to you, you see that they're everywhere. So, for example, he'll start the first Torah, which is a lot about how tefillah, the prayer, is only successful after learning Torah. That the Torah is the meat, is like the sustenance of the prayer. We'll get into that later. So he starts with that basic principle, and he's brought this principle down from a high place. I'll explain that also. But then you see how this idea is found everywhere. So he'll show that it's found in the story that Bar Bar Chana was talking about in the Masechet Baba Batra. But you'll also see it in Psukim of the Torah, and you'll see it in the Zohar, and you'll see it in the Sfarim of the Arizal, and you'll see it in the Perek Tehillim Ashrei Tamimei Derech. So when I say that we're going to be learning explanations of Rabbi Baruch Hana's stories, it's only partially true. That's part of what it's going to be about, but it's really so much more than that. So let's get into the first Torah. Ashrei Tamimei Derech, Holchim b'Torat Hashem.